Hi, Yoram here, again to talk about Touch Portal and OBS. In the previous video, I gave you an overview of what Touch Portal is. In my case, it's running on an iPad. There's a part on the PC, and then it connects to OBS, which can or cannot connect to Zoom. This time, I'll talk about how to install it, how to get it working at the first time. In some of my previous videos, when I talked about installing Stream Deck or OBS itself, it was relatively, I would say, easier compared to this one. It took me about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes to get this working and running. It's a little more involved. I'm going to try and take you through all the steps. It might vary between computer to computer. Once again, I'll talk about using it on iPad and on a Windows 10 PC. But there are going to be some variances between the setup that I have and yours. So I just want to warn you, it's a great product. Once you got it running and operating, it is really so much better than anything else that I used in the past. But it does take some time to install it, and you do need some technical expertise. Once again, first of all, there are three parts. The first part is a part that runs on the iPad itself. This is the user interface. In my case, the iPad is on a stand right next to me. And so kind of like Stream Deck used to be on my desk, this one is a little bigger because it's an iPad, but it has more buttons, as you can see from this image here. My buttons look actually better than they did when I first set it up, which is what you see here. Then there is an app that runs on the PC itself and through Wi-Fi communicates with the app that runs on the iPad. Then there is OBS. And OBS is OBS, but you need to install a plugin that will allow it to connect with the Touch Portal app that runs on that PC. And I'll show you where it is and how to configure it. Finally, I'm not going to talk about the communication between OBS and Zoom. This is something you can find in previous videos that I shot. So if you're interested in how to connect OBS to Zoom from the get-go, then just watch another video. And hopefully right now in the top right corner, I've put the link to that video. If not, it's somewhere in this video here. But there are some interesting things about Touch Portal. And there are plugins not only for OBS, but for other tools such as Twitter, such as Windows, and even for Zoom that allow you to control Zoom from Touch Portal as well. Not just control OBS and what goes into Zoom through camera and microphone inputs, but actually to control Zoom and different aspects of it. So I'm not going to touch on that. Again, we'll leave Zoom out of the picture or any other software, and I'm going to focus on the three components. We're going to start with installing the Touch Portal app on the PC. Again, this is for PC or Mac. See, it says that it works with all kinds of other tools such as OBS, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, and others, Discord, and it actually works with a lot more than just that. So if you want to download, you start with the download here, and I'm actually going to take you through their entire page. So there is some explanation of what it does. You can actually define how many buttons you're going to have. If you take the free version, which I would not recommend, I use the free version just to install it and see that it works. The free version is limited in functionality, and it also is limited to only 8 buttons. So you can only have 4x2 buttons if you're looking at the iPad or phone. It runs on a phone as well in landscape mode. The buttons have multiple actions. There are a lot of things that you can do. It's actually a lot more flexible than Stream Deck. There is some logic you can apply. There are actions, multiple actions. There is feedback, so you can actually see certain things. And so, for example, the button would turn on, change color, or whatever you programmed it to do, not only because you pressed it or you didn't press it or you pressed it again, but actually because OBS sent a message that says this scene, for example, is now selected. So this is very strong feedback that you will get. Again, there are different integrated services in it. This is just data. This is just information. And now the first thing you're going to do is download, install the desktop app for either Windows or Mac. And as I said, the next thing is we're going to install it for iOS, and then we're going to connect it. And they have their own guides there. I'm going to get back to that. I just want to show you that there are some popular pages and things that you can get. Icon packs. You can design your own buttons, which as you can see, this is what I've done. But they have some very neat designs that you can just download as a pack. If I'm going to go to all of the icon packs, one of my favorite is that there are packs for flight simulators, for example. So there are different packs, and you can see different designs of buttons, some really cool looking 3D buttons. And this is all available for free once you have this tool. And I'm sure that some things actually do cost money. There are plugins. So as I mentioned before, you can control other pieces of software. And if you start looking through the plugins, Voicemeeter, Streamlabs, Weather app, there is iTunes. You can control iTunes. You can control other things. You can control Ecamm if this is something that you have, a program that you have, and more. So there are different plugins. Right now what we'll do is we will just go to download the software or the PC app. So I'm going for Windows. Click on Windows, and really all it does is just downloads the app itself. You can download it wherever you want to download it, and then just make it run. So I already have it downloaded, and I'm going to switch screen. This is what the app looks like once it is on the PC, installed on the PC. There are different pages that I've programmed, and in future videos I'm going to show you those. Right now this is kind of my main screen, and what I do from here is just to go to the appropriate application. So for example, OBS. Okay. So the next part is to install the iOS part, and you actually get it in the App Store. This is what it looks like. The app, again, is free. If you download it, you can see that it says it's free. It does offer in-app purchases, and really there's just, as far as I saw, there's only one purchase, and that is to download the full version, the pro version of this app, which is unlimited, lets you do everything, and that costs $12.99. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, even compared to Stream Deck, that the one that I had with 15 buttons cost $150. What you get here for $13 or $12.99 is a lot more. However, I even didn't install it or upgrade it to the Pro version from my iOS device until I got it to work in the basic version. And that's what I would recommend for you. Just download the basic version, get it operating. Once it runs and you're happy with the fact that you have control, even with just one button on your Touch Portal app running on your iPad or any other tablet device, once you're happy with that performance, then you're good to go. Then just go ahead and upgrade it and get all the features that you would get only from the Pro version. So again, I'm going to go with my iOS, download it, get it to run. The next part is to download the OBS WebSocket. So again, in this video, I'm focused on how to control OBS with Touch Portal. And you will notice that this is not unique to Touch Portal. What WebSocket is, it's a plugin that allows you to control OBS from another device over the internet, over an internet connection. This can be an internet connection, an Ethernet connection, Wi-Fi or wired, anything, and even remote. Essentially, it has what's called the OBS remote protocol that allows you to control OBS remotely from any device. So again, it's not specific to Touch Portal. It would be used for anything else or any other way that you want to control OBS remotely. So again, you're going to go to the download, and then just the one that I chose. If you go all the way to the bottom, I use the Windows installer, and once you click on this, it downloads it, and once it's downloaded, you just run it and just follow the instructions. It's pretty straightforward. At this time, I want to show you how to configure it. So now you already have the three pieces. You have the WebSocket running on OBS plugin downloaded into OBS. You have Touch Portal app for the PC already running in the PC. And you have the Touch Portal app for iOS or for Android running on your tablet. So we have all three of them running. We just haven't configured them and they're not operating yet. I'm going to start with OBS. And with OBS, if you go to Tools, this is where you're going to find, for the most part, all of your plugins, and you can see that I have WebSocket server setting. So I click on that, and what you can see now is the server port is 4444. If you noticed before when you downloaded the plugin, it said that it will use 4444, and then whether you enable or not authentication. You don't have to have authentication. I just would prefer that any access that we give to an external source would be authenticated. So I enabled authentication and I just programmed a password. Make sure that obviously you write what your password is, because you're going to have to put that password in another place, obviously. And this is essentially it. I mean, there is enable system tray alerts, lock server to only using IPv4. I didn't see the value of that. Enable debug logging. That my guess is that it takes resources. So I just didn't do anything here, not changing the port. Enable the WebSocket server. This essentially allows you to control OBS remotely. If I uncheck this box, what will happen is that I just disabled WebSocket and there's no remote configuration. This is it. This is all you have to do in OBS. Next part, I'm going to show you how to configure it here, the Touch Portal, and all we're configuring right now is the communications. So there are a few buttons up here, but I'm going to choose the cogwheel. The cogwheel allows you to, first of all, set up this. This is how we are going to connect to the Touch Portal app running on the PC from the Touch Portal app running on the tablet. So it is important that you know what the port setups are. These are the defaults, 12134, 12135. You'll see it when we go to the to program the app on the iOS, on my iPad. But for now, that's what we're using. I did not set any of those. I can probably change them, but I didn't see a reason why. I did allow it or selected checking that it will start when Windows start. It will start at boot minimized, so it doesn't start and take the entire screen. Always create go-to main buttons for new pages. Every time I create another page, instead of trying to remember that I need to create a button that will go back to the main, it just does that automatically. That's essentially all that I did here. The next part is to actually configure it for OBS specifically. So when I click on OBS, the IP is the local host that I have here. This is the same port. So if you remember, we have programmed that port for, we programmed that port at OBS. So this is how we're going to reach through the Ethernet, through the IP network, I should say. This app is going to reach the OBS app through this port 4444. And remember, we have set up a password. This needs to be the same password. And I checked the box that says auto connect. So whenever I run Touch Portal, and Touch Portal can sense that OBS is there. Whenever I start OBS, whenever both of them are running, the connection will happen automatically. This is it. This is essentially everything that we're going to set up here in OBS. In Touch Portal this time. We've already set OBS. At this point, I want to remind you that there are guides right here, kind of mid-page in the Touch Portal website. There are guides, and even though you're watching this video, I would encourage you to click on follow our guides and see what they have here. There are some very good guides up here, and for example, how to start the Touch Portal on your computer. So this is what it looks like when you run it for the first time. It will, by the way, ask you which applications you're going to control. You can just leave it empty and just add them manually. You will get this screen whether you always try to connect to OBS when you're not connected. This is really the end of setup, and this is what it would look like at the first time. This is what it would look like when you download it into your tablet. It will ask you to install the software. It will scan for it. If it does not find it, it will ask you for the IP address. Again, the port number, if you remember, this was kind of the default, so I left it at that. Port at IP address, I actually had to take a look at my router, and I found what the IP address was, and I was actually wrong, and it connected, it found it all by itself. The trickiest thing here is going to be to make sure that through your firewall, remember that your computer is protected with a firewall, and that means that every connection from the outside world, whether it's through Wi-Fi or through the internet connection, your computer will protect you from it. There is the computer. There is also, you may have a physical firewall, a device that is outside, but you need to open the firewall to allow Touch Portal to get access to the outside world, which typically is something that's being prevented. Now, there are instructions. The important thing is that the piece of software that needs that access is called javaw. javaw.exe, I highlighted it here. This needs to have access to the internet. Now, Windows has its own firewall, and so if I just open up the firewall, you should be able to do that unless you have another firewall, and in my case, I do. So I'm actually going to show you another level. If you are here, you would be able to open this here under Windows, the Windows Defender Firewall. But in my case, you see the message that says these settings are being managed by vendor application McAfee Personal Firewall. So I have McAfee. I'm going to show you what I had to do to give access. So I'm opening McAfee now, my firewall. I'm going to go to settings. So if you have McAfee, this is how you do it. As I scroll down, you'll see that firewall is one of them. There are different things. The firewall is on. My computer is protected. But when I go to internet connection for programs, this is where I'm going to get the list of all the programs in my computer. Now, go find Java. Well, the easiest way is to actually click on programs. So first of all, it shows it in a descending alphabetical order. Now I'm clicking it again. Now it's in ascending. I'm just going to go quickly to J, and I'm going to find in J several Java related applications. The one we're looking for is the Java Platform SE binary. See, that's the javaw. And what you have to do is just make sure, if I click on that, make sure that you give access to this specific application to access the internet. So again, I'm not going to take you through it because I've already done it in my own computer. In general, I showed you the how do you install the Touch Portal app on an iOS device. What I'm going to do now is just, if you click on the settings in the top right, it will take you to this screen. The first one is the setup wizard. If you go to the setup wizard, this is exactly, these are the steps that were required to get it to operate. And you saw them before, and you just go step by step. It's really not hard to go through it. A second one is going to be to upgrade your experience. And I can see that even now, There are a few upgrades that I can have, like the Edge graphics upgrade that would cost me another 99 cents, RGB graphics upgrade, and so on. So there are probably always going to be upgrades up here. But for now, the only upgrade that I really cared about is to upgrade to the Pro version, because the Pro version had allowed me to get to the level of functionality and the number of buttons, and that's the most important part, that I'm using today. This is it. Essentially, this is how you get it installed. Once again, just to recap, you install it on your tablet device. I install it on an iPad, an iOS device. You install it on your main computer. In my case, I did it on a Windows PC computer. There is an app to install there. You install a plugin, the WebSocket plugin for OBS, so that OBS can be controlled by something else. In our case, it's going to be Touch Portal. And then we set up all the connections. We open a hole in the firewall to allow these two to communicate. We allow these two to communicate, and I actually secured this connection. And that's pretty much it. In the next videos, I'll talk about how do you set it up, how do you set up buttons, all kinds of plugins. I already kind of showed you, but we'll install some button designs. See you on the next video. I recorded this video for you, based on what currently exists and what I know right now. But things change, new technology, new products, new software versions, new ideas that I get, some of them from viewers like you. If you want to be informed when I release new videos with new or updated content, subscribe to this channel and get notified when I release them. Oh, and you can also like this video. Also, check out my resources for speakers like you who want to do things yourself at thediyspeaker.com.